This is a tutorial on how to use the CSS skeleton screen generator. So in my example, I've just created a very simple design. This will be used to create the skeleton screen design. This is just something I quickly made up in Photopea. So after I've done the design here, I'm just going to hit the print screen button on my machine and take a copy of the window. Next up, I'm going to go into the skeleton screen generator, and by default I have all of these items on the blog template. I don't need that. I'm just going to go to the blank template. Next up, because I've already copied the design in my clipboard, I'm going to press Ctrl V, and this is going to paste the design to the canvas. So I've Ctrl V there. Next up, I'm going to use the arrows of the keyboard to move the design into position. So I want the top left position. What's quite good by copying the whole window is I have this black background here, so I can make sure that I absolutely get to the furthest point there. So I know that's good for the top part. And now I'm going to check the left hand side. So that's done. Next up, I want to make sure that the canvas is going to meet the height of the design. So if I come to the right hand side here, I can see the canvas here. I'm going to adjust the height, and I can just click on the arrows there, and again I can just see this design getting closer to the edge of the canvas. And then also for the repeat design, in this particular case we don't need to repeat the design, so that's just going to be the exact same number. This will be 260. Okay, so the design's now in focus. As we can see, there's still no design here at the moment. That's what we're going to do next, which is putting in the shapes. So first of all, we have the big circle for the image. So we're going to right click our mouse nearer to the design here, and then add circle. And then we just get a default circle here. We want to have a bigger one here, so we're going to adjust the diameter amount. So let's try 128, for example. So that looks pretty close to it. So I'm now going to select the circle with my left mouse key, and using the arrow keys of the keyboard again, I'm going to move that into position. Just going to keep on tapping it away. So as we can see, the circle is probably a little bit too big for that, so let's try it to 120, maybe 220, 123, stuff like that. Oh no, 124 is actually fine. Okay. Oh, actually we have a little bit of an edge there, so let's try 125. And then we'll move that up a little bit more, so we don't see any edge. Still a tiny bit of the edge there, so we're going to click it again, make it 126. I'm pretty confident that's going to be good for us now. And it is. We can't see any more edges of the image. And if we scroll down, we can see that the circle is there, and that's getting the shimmer effect. Next up, we're going to do the heading text. Now, usually for skeleton screens, it's either circles or rectangles. I'd recommend rectangles for the text, so we're going to right click near there, add a rectangle, and here we're going to move it into position. Again, using the arrow keys, we're going to get this point here nearest to the top left point of the text. And of course the width is a little bit too big here. So we're going to make that a little bit more in line with what our design was. So if we come to the right hand side here, we can see with this rectangle being selected, we can amend the width amount. So we can change that 300 to maybe 100. So it's a little bit out, maybe 140. Yeah, that'll do, that'll be fine. And then also just make sure that the height is fine. I'm just going to use the arrows here. So again, just going to analyze it. As I change it, just make sure that there's no edges peeking out from under the shape. So that's about 17 pixels. Next up, we're going to do the second line here. Same again, right click, rectangle. Move that again using the arrow keys. And what's now easier is we know that was 17, so this is also going to be 17 in height. And let's just adjust the width amount for that. So maybe 130, yeah, that seems to be a bit more spot on. And also, as we do this, we can click the first rectangle here and see what the left amount was. So if we refer to here, the position from the left is 160. So if we now hit the second rectangle, it's actually 159, so we can change that to be 160 to be the same as the top rectangle. And finally, we'll just do the third rectangle. Again, this is all just for the headers. Maybe again 100 there, probably a little bit less, 70, 80, 90. And then again, that's going to be 17. Now, of course, this has to serve multiple different types of text. Some letters are going to be longer than others, but I think for this point, this is absolutely fine. And then next up, we're going to just quickly do the body text underneath that. So as we can tell, this is slightly smaller text, so we're going to right click rectangle again. Now, again, we're going to move this with the arrow keys on the keyboard. We're going to adjust the height again. And this looks to be about 14 pixels in height. Now, when you have text that goes full width across the design, because we have a screen here that needs to adjust to the width and height of the panel in terms of responsiveness, we have a little trick that we can use. So as we click this, we can then, instead of having a fixed pixel amount, which we needed in the heading, we can now change the unit amount to be percentage. We can change that to 100%. That's what I'd recommend. And now, of course, this is going the full width, 100% starting from the left position. We can now add, if we click the rectangle again, a minus amount, a calc, minus amount, and then we can adjust the pixel amount here. So we know that the left position is 16. We know that it's got to be 16 plus another 16 if this was a full 100%. So that would be 32 pixels. And as we can see, that's now a full width. Since we have staggered lines of text, and again, we want this to work responsively, maybe we just change that a little bit more amount. So maybe 132, something like that. And then I'm just going to quickly do the next 3 lines. Again, just checking the left position, 16, 16 there. First one was 14 pixels in height. And again, we're going to change this to 100% width. Going to add a calc in there, and then maybe a slightly different amount, maybe 200 pixels, so that it will still work responsively, but we still have a little bit of variation in the widths of the design. Again, with this now selected, percentage, 100% width, calc, and this time we may want to have slightly less removed, so maybe 80 pixels. So we can have a bit more stagger there. And then lastly, we'll do this last one, moving with the arrows. (14 pixels in height). And then percentage, 100% width. And then we'll do minus, and then because this was quite a small amount on the design, we'll do quite a lot less, so maybe 400 pixels. Maybe a lot less than that actually, 600, 800. And that looks good. Lastly, you might have a design where an item is right aligned, like the flag here for the news. This we can also do. So we will right click where the rectangle is, right click, rectangle, and we'll just move this to position with the arrow keys again. That's looking good. We'll also get the height corrected as well. So again, with it selected, just changing the height. Next up, we'll just move this to the left here. Make sure that we get the width correct. It's maybe 100 pixels. 86, 85, 85. So as you can see at the moment, this isn't right aligned yet. This is still in space right now. We can now click this rectangle. And then on the right hand side here, we have horizontal positioning. So currently it's left starting point. If we change this to right starting point, it now changes position, and we can now change that to 0 to be as far aligned as it can be. And we can now see that this design will completely cater towards right alignment and then left aligned items. When you're happy with your design, all you have to do is just copy the outputted CSS that's provided here. And then also you have your HTML that you can copy as well. Since this isn't a library, this will work for all solutions and front-end frameworks that you're using. It's just outputted CSS, so it's as lightweight as it possibly can be.